All right, everyone, here we are again. I just wanted to go over some simple head tips when you're doing any kind of porting, or like depending on how extensively you're porting it. But I just want to go through a few things to keep on your mind when doing a typical valve job or porting job. And especially for people who are just getting into it, I want to show you what you're looking for and the easiest ways to gain a little bit of power and not screw something up. And number one, to not screw something up, is around the outside, I'm sorry guys, but around the outside on the back of these valve seats, you're going to feel where they pressed it into the casting, and there's a ledge. You'll feel the ledge all the way around there. Now you can take a die grinder. Man, I wish this video was better, but it's not. But you can take a die grinder right around the back side of that, and you can actually see right there where the valve seats, and we'll get into that here in a second too. So I'm not saying grind all the way to that. We'll get there. But just round it off a little bit so it's not snagging. Smooth transition. That's the number one. We're looking for a smooth transition. That's the easiest way to increase flow without making mistakes, is just take off sharp edges, burrs, casting lines. That's your easiest on the intake. Now think about which way our air flows too. Here's the intake. So our direction of flow is coming in through the port. We've got your intake port coming in, the valve opens, goes in this way. On the exhaust, it goes out. It goes out. So, sorry, I'm looking at my phone while I'm doing this to make sure I'm giving you guys halfway decent shot. But, so, on this one, the valve opens, piston goes up, push the exhaust out. So your flow goes out. So you're looking for the same thing, and you can buff these up a little bit, polish them down. Remember, keep the integrity of what you're doing. But same thing, think about where the air flows and the direction. Your shortest distance, that's where your velocity is at, is, around the shortest distance here, that radius. There you go, this radius right here. So that's where you're gonna gain the most velocity. So now, as far as angles and all stuff like that, we've got angles on the, 3 angles on the valve seat itself. We can adjust that out. We can, get out, but this is a stock engine, so I'm not going to do too much with it. But that's where, underneath where it actually seats, you start increasing that angle, bringing it out a little bit. So on the exhaust, same thing. Now let's look at the geometry of the valve. So see how much meat. Let's look at this valve. The air flows this direction on the exhaust valve. So, and you see where it seats at. It seats, let me get you there. Right in that shiny line. So there's a couple things we can do. We can polish the valve. I'm sorry for this video, guys. All my videos are really bad. But they're educational if you can handle it long enough to pay attention. So you can round that front edge, which is what I typically do. And on the exhaust, you can cut that angle. When you're cutting that angle, remember that, that's the strength of the valve, is what's the material right in there. So you don't want to overdo it. That's why the closest thing to stock is typically the most reliable. Stuff like that. But you can narrow that down a little bit, and a little bit will increase flow significantly. And same on your intake valve, you know, same exact scenario. You know, look how much material's there and how big that angle could be. So, and on the intake valve, remember your air is flowing the opposite direction. So, you know, think about where you want it relieved at. Do you want like a tulip shaped valve? There's, you know, that's when all that stuff comes into play. But for a simple job, you can radius just the outside there. You know, I do it on a lathe. Sometimes I cut them, sometimes I just polish them, you know, with a stone, but just depends how sharp they are. These are pretty heavy edge, so we'll see what kind of work I do to them. It's a relatively stock engine, just the cam, so I'll do a little bit of head work just because it's the easiest power. But yeah, this is on a 96 Ultra Classic, so it's got fuel injection. I'm getting rid of that. It's first year for it. Put a S&S Super E on it, probably just because they're the most available and they're easy to tune. But so there you go, a little bit of info on that. Just really just a big paying attention. I mean, that's all it is. And if you guys leave some comments and you want to go into like actually cutting the valves and paying more attention to flow characteristics, yeah, maybe we can. But on this one, it's pretty darn stock, so we'll see what I end up doing with it. Because unless you have all of the work you do to an engine complement each other, you're just killing each other. So there's no point in having a big breathing head when the rest of the engine is basically stock with a cam. So, all right, that's all I had to say. Thanks for watching.